With a total population 15 times more dense than that of the United States, the food problem was acute. A strict system of rationing had to be established, with a daily food allowance issued to heads of families from a community ration dump. A monetary system was not established while the fighting was still going on, but a record was kept of all rations issued for a future accounting. The food itself was diverted from captured Japanese army stores, and with the exception of special medical rations for infants, invalids, and the critically undernourished, the people could eat only what was on the island when we came, so that no supplies were diverted from our troops for civilian use. They would have to get along on a diet of rice, tea, barley, and dried fish until their farms were clear of the combat zone and they could return to salvage their crops. Miles away to the south, the campaign that had started with a wade-in landing had developed into a frontal head-on assault against a stubborn rat-hole ridge-by-ridge defense system. The Japanese artillery was heavier and more accurate than any we had yet encountered. From volcanic outcroppings and coral knobs, they controlled most of the high points of observation. They fired from subterranean fortresses, maneuvered through tunnels and galleries. Often they were behind us. There was no front. We fought them where we found them. We measured our progress in feet and inches against a crafty and fanatical enemy, an enemy we could not see. Covered by the expanding perimeter, the number of our military wards increased daily, and while the artillery still sounded in the distant hills, the people were put to work to provide their own shelter. Supervised by their own headmen, every able-bodied man and woman was detailed to tasks that ran from clearing rubble and crushing tile for roadbeds to corralling horses abandoned by Japanese army officers. Although the Okinawans' medieval traditions had long delegated all menial and manual labor to the women, the civil affairs labor officers saw to it that the men did their full share of the work. They grumbled a bit at their loss of dignity, and they were slow, but they worked, and the women approved wholeheartedly. Building material was scarce, and to provide beams and planks for repair and reconstruction, civil affairs put the local sawmill back into operation. Such native industry as had existed before our invasion, like the sugar mill, had also to be re-established if the people were to be self-sufficient. Nothing could be imported, for every cubic foot of incoming cargo space was reserved for the needs of the assault forces. At his headquarters in the field, the Army's Brigadier General Christ, the island commander, discussed daily the problems of military government with his civil affairs staff from all arms of the service. With increasing thousands of civilians being absorbed into our lines, the food situation, always acute, was gradually relieved by the liberation of many farms in the backwash of battle. Civilians were organized into large work parties to harvest the standing crops which had ripened untended in the fields, and which would otherwise have rotted on the ground in the imminent rainy season. These are an agricultural people, and Okinawa's 920 square miles were virtually all farmland. Everything they grew was food for their own mouths. This harvest was one of the major points in the civil affairs program for self-help and self-support. For the Okinawans were being made to understand that they would not be spoon-fed and could not panhandle their way to freedom. For years, the insatiable commissary of the Japanese army had plundered food from these undernourished people. Now, for the first time, everyone was guaranteed at least a basic Oriental diet. Fleet Admiral Nimitz inspected the settlements because the United States Navy had reason to be concerned with the government and welfare of the people. For the Okinawans would be post-war citizens of what will someday be a huge peacetime naval base, our westernmost assurance against future aggression from the east. Most of the people gave promise of being cooperative and reliable. This Japanese doctor could have escaped to the mainland. Instead, he voluntarily remained so that he could continue to minister to his people. Maybe people like this were sincere, but we took no chances. Anyway, it was the children of Okinawa that mattered most, and our civil affairs sections realized that candy and kind words, medicine and education and recreation would make them more helpful and useful neighbors to a naval base than their broken-spirited parents. These children were an investment in the future security of an American outpost. Of the moment still lay in the course of a battle that raged only a few miles from the laughing children of Okinawa. A battle that had slowly, painfully put 4/5 of the island behind our lines. The Japanese garrison was doomed and defiant. It was fighting from its last ditch. Naha, Shuri Castle, Yonabaro, Sugarloaf Hill, Yasato Mudflats, Oroku Peninsula. A suicide line that ran all the way across the island. For one bit a month, we battered at that line. Then we cut it into sections, broke it into pockets, pushed the pieces before us toward the sea. We pounded and blasted and burned, and swept up the remnants with a broom of fire and a bloody mop. It took us 3 years and 4 months to reach Okinawa, and 82 days more of dying to secure the last American battlefield of the Second World War. We won. We paid. To a people whose only crime was to be born slaves, we brought life and hope, the right to work and enjoy the fruits of their labor, to laugh and to play. But our job is not done. A just and lasting peace among ourselves and with all nations. Just as the cost of war was high, so peace does not come at bargain prices. 7 issues of war bonds helped to put these men in Tokyo, and one victory loan can finish the job and bring them back. The bonds you buy can bind up wounds, build up cities, and buy tickets home for these boys. They're still doing their job. It's up to you to keep on doing yours. buy victory bonds now and attain our next objective, security.